Hi, my friends. Welcome back to Easy English Class. I'm Marco.
And I'm Erica. Do you know that feeling? Standing next to a group of people discussing something incredibly interesting, having tons of ideas and thoughts, but somehow you just can't join the conversation. Your heart races, thoughts get tangled, and you remain a silent observer. But what if I told you that confidence in communication isn't a talent, but a skill? That anyone can learn to speak easily and naturally with anyone? Today, we'll reveal all the secrets of confident communication, share practical tips, and help you overcome the fear of conversations. Ready to change your life? Then listen carefully.
This is your English learning podcast to help you improve naturally and build real confidence in communication.
I remember once I was at a big corporate networking event, and something important happened to me there.
Oh, what was it?
There was this group of colleagues discussing a project I was really passionate about, a topic I know well, and I had so many ideas, so many thoughts I wanted to share.
So, did you jump in? Did you share your thoughts?
That's the thing. I really wanted to, but I just didn't know how to enter the conversation. I kept thinking, what if I interrupt? What if it's awkward? And I just stayed silent. Later, I felt really disappointed that I didn't say anything at all.
Oh, I completely understand that feeling. I think almost everyone has been there. You have so much to contribute, but that little voice in your head stops you, and you just feel stuck on the outside.
Exactly. It's that moment when you wish you could just confidently step in and share your ideas, but something holds you back.
Well, this is what we're doing today. We're going to talk all about how to speak to anyone with confidence. We'll share simple, practical ways to feel more comfortable joining conversations, expressing your thoughts, and connecting with people.
By the way, I'm Erica.
And I'm Marco. This is Speak with Confidence, the place where you can relax, get comfortable, or even listen while you sleep. No pressure, no stress, just real conversations.
So if you want to talk to anyone confidently and easily, get comfortable, grab your coffee, and let's get started.
So, Erica, why do you think it's so hard to talk to people sometimes?
I think it often comes down to feeling nervous. Our mind starts overthinking everything. We begin to worry about what other people might think of us.
Yes, that worry about what will they think is so strong, isn't it?
It is. You start thinking, will I say something wrong? Will they think I'm weird? Am I going to be judged?
And when those thoughts fill your head, it makes you freeze. Even if you have a lot to say and you really want to join, that feeling just stops you.
That's exactly what happened to me at that networking event. I had so many interesting points, but the fear of interrupting awkwardly or saying something silly just kept me quiet. It felt like a wall in my mind.
It's a very common experience. We focus so much on imagining bad outcomes that we forget the good things that could happen. We stop ourselves before we even try.
Right? It can really hold us back even when we have a lot to contribute. But how can we avoid that struggle and begin to feel more confident?
Well, it's all about preparing your mindset and practicing your confidence. It's not something you just have naturally. It's a skill you build.
That's so true. It starts even before you say a word. When you decide to join a conversation or even just walk into a room.
Yes, think about your body posture. For example, you can actually enter and join with great posture. Stand tall, keep your shoulders back. It instantly makes you feel a little stronger, and it also makes you look more confident to others.
And don't forget a smile. A genuine, friendly smile is a universal welcome sign. It tells people you're open and approachable. And when you speak, use a nice, welcoming voice. Not too loud, not too quiet, but clear and friendly.
These physical actions actually send signals to your brain, making you feel more confident. But the biggest battle is often in our minds. That's where we need to change those negative thoughts into positive ones.
Instead of letting your brain say, "What if I say something wrong? What if I make a mistake and look foolish? What if they judge me?" You need to shift them to positive thoughts.
You need to switch that thought immediately. For example, instead of, what if they laugh at me? You can tell yourself, well, at least I made someone laugh today. Or if I make a mistake, it's okay. It's just a learning moment.
Or instead of thinking, "What if I interrupt awkwardly?" Tell yourself, "I'm just going to try to join the flow of the conversation politely." The worst that can happen is you pause and then you try again.
It's about remembering that in most everyday conversations, it's not that serious. People are usually focused on enjoying the moment, not judging your every word. They're more likely to appreciate you joining in.
Right. It's really not that serious if you think about it. However, for many people, the challenge isn't just what to say, but how to start. A lot of us struggle with what's called small talk, or simply initiating the conversation.
Yes, that's it. If you don't know, initiate just means starting something. So, initiating a conversation means simply being the one to begin talking. It can feel like the hardest part, especially when you're approaching a group or someone you don't know well.
It's true. You see a group laughing and chatting, and you have thoughts, but then you think, how do I just enter that? What do I say first? The first few words can feel really difficult to find.
I think if I had known back then at that networking event how to start the conversation smoothly or how to join it without feeling awkward, it would have helped me so much.
And small talk is so important too. By small talk, we mean those easy, light conversations about general things like the weather or what someone did on the weekend that help you connect with people.
Yes, knowing how to make small talk is really important for building confidence. It's how you test the waters and show you're friendly.
Now, how do we start a conversation? Let's give our listeners some powerful phrases and ways to start a conversation that make them sound confident.
These are simple ways and phrases that make that first step much easier and more natural. The easiest way to start is often by simply making an observation about your surroundings or commenting on the current situation.
This is something you both share, so it's a safe topic. Yes, you're both in the same place at the same time, so you have common ground.
For example, if you're at an event where food is served, you could say, "This food is amazing, isn't it?" Or, "I love this dish. It's my favorite."
If you're outside or waiting somewhere, you could say, "It's a beautiful day, isn't it?" Or, "This line is quite long today."
See, it's a simple statement or question about something you both experience. It opens the door for the other person to reply.
The next trick is to ask an open-ended question. An open-ended question means a question that cannot be answered with just yes or no. It invites the other person to give a longer answer, which starts a conversation.
This is very important. If you're at a gathering, you can ask, "What brings you here today?" Or, "How do you know the host?"
If you see someone with a book or wearing a shirt from a certain place, "What are you reading?" Or, "I love that city. What did you like most about it?"
These questions immediately invite more than just a single word, which helps the conversation grow.
Another great way to start is by offering help or asking for very simple help yourself. Yes, it creates a small moment of connection.
If you see someone struggling with something light, you could say, "Can I help you with that?" Or, "Do you need a hand?"
If you genuinely need information, you could say, "Excuse me, do you know where the restroom is?" Or, "Could you tell me what time the next train is?"
Most people are happy to help, and this small interaction can naturally lead to a longer chat.
Also, another powerful way to start is with a sincere and specific compliment. Sincere means it's real, and specific means you don't just say, "You look nice."
For example, if you like something someone is wearing, you could say, "I love your jacket. Where did you get it?" Or if you notice something they've done, you can say, "That was a really interesting point you made earlier."
This makes the person feel good and gives them an easy way to respond. Just make sure it's honest.
But what happens after those first few words? Now that we've started the conversation, how do we keep it going?
That's the next big step. Our tip here is to use simple strategies to keep the conversation flowing and avoid those awkward silences.
That's right. The most natural way to continue is by asking follow-up questions. This means you listen to what the other person just said and then ask a question that relates directly to their last point.
It shows you were listening. Don't just ask a new random question. For example, if someone says, "I just got back from a trip," you don't then ask, "What's your favorite color?"
Instead, you ask, "Oh, where did you travel?" Or, "What was the best part of your trip?"
Or if they say, "I'm really busy with a new project at work," you could ask, "What kind of project is it?" Or, "Is it challenging?"
It makes the conversation feel natural. Another great way to keep it going is to share something related to what they just said. But remember, keep it brief.
It's not about taking over the conversation. For example, if they talk about loving to read, you could say, "Oh, I love reading too. What kind of books do you usually read?"
If they mention a hobby like cooking, you might say, "That sounds fun. I tried making lasagna last week. It was quite an adventure."
You're adding to the conversation, not just asking questions. This makes it feel more like a real conversation.
It's also very important to show that you're listening and interested. Simple words and sounds can make a big difference.
Like, for example, "Oh, really? That's interesting. Wow." Or, "I see what you mean."
These show the other person you're engaged, and it encourages them to continue talking. It makes them feel heard.
Also, you can simply comment on what they said. For example, if they say, "I spent the weekend hiking in the mountains," you could say, "That sounds amazing." Or, "I understand what you mean." Hiking can be very refreshing.
If they share a small frustration, you could say, "That must be tough," or "I can see why that would be annoying."
These phrases show understanding. By mixing them, you can keep conversations flowing naturally and feel much more confident talking to anyone.
All right, so we've talked about how to prepare your mindset, how to start conversations, and how to keep them going. Now, let's talk about some common mistakes people make that can actually make them feel less confident and how to avoid them.
Sometimes knowing what not to do is just as important as knowing what to do.
The first mistake is over explaining or apologizing too much. You know, when you say something and then immediately try to give too many details or too many reasons, or you say, "I'm sorry" many times for small things?
That can make you sound less confident even if your idea is good. If you give too many details or keep apologizing, it can make your listener feel like you're not sure about what you're saying, or that you think you've done something wrong, even when you haven't.
Right. Just say what you need to say clearly. and then stop. Trust that the other person understood you. If they need more information, they will ask you.
The next common mistake is something many people do without realizing it. Not truly listening and talking way too much.
Oh, this is a big one. We sometimes get so focused on what we want to say or worried about silence that we forget to really hear the other person.
A conversation is like playing catch with a ball. One person throws, the other catches, then throws back. If you just keep throwing the ball without letting the other person catch it, it's not fun, and it's not a conversation.
So, avoid talking too much about just yourself or constantly changing the topic back to what you want to talk about. Give the other person space to speak and truly listen to their words.
Also, during a conversation, stop avoiding eye contact. If you don't look at the person you are talking to, it can make you seem uninterested or shy.
Making good eye contact shows the other person that you are interested in what they are saying, that you are engaged, and that you are confident. It builds connection.
Of course, you don't need to stare intensely. A natural amount of eye contact, like looking at them when they're speaking and looking at them when you're speaking, is perfect. It shows respect and interest.
All right, Erica, so we've talked about how to start a conversation, how to keep it going, and what mistakes to avoid. Now, how do you confidently and politely end a conversation?
That's an important point. Nobody wants to be stuck in a conversation that's gone on too long or to just walk away awkwardly.
Knowing how to exit smoothly leaves a great impression. One of the easiest ways to end is to briefly mention something you need to do next or a plan you have.
This shows that it's time to move on. It gives a polite reason for leaving. For example, you could say, "Well, I should probably let you go," or simply say, "I need to get going now."
Or another excellent way is to simply express your appreciation for the conversation. This leaves a warm, positive feeling.
You can say, "It was great talking to you," or "I really enjoyed our conversation." Or if you just met them, you can say, "It was nice meeting you."
This shows genuine politeness and that you valued the interaction. If you want to continue the conversation another time, or if you plan to see them again, you can suggest a future interaction.
You could say, "Let's catch up again soon." Or, "Maybe we can talk more about this later." If you're at an event, "I'll catch you later."
This keeps the door open for another conversation without having to continue this one right now. And finally, just some simple, polite ways to say goodbye.
You can say, "Have a great day," or "Enjoy the rest of your day," or simply say, "Take care."
By combining one or two of these phrases, you can confidently and politely end almost any conversation. For example, "It was really great talking to you, but I need to get going now. Have a great day."
We've shared so many practical ways to build confidence in conversations, but there's one more absolutely essential point I want to emphasize that makes all of this much easier. Be present and really listen.
You see, you simply can't have a truly successful or confident conversation without listening.
That's so true. If you're not listening, you're just waiting for your turn to talk. Or worse, you're busy thinking about what you're going to say next.
When your mind is focused only on you talking or on what you're going to say, you're not really hearing the other person. You miss their words, their feelings, and important details.
This makes the conversation feel one-sided and can make you seem uninterested. And when you're not listening, it's harder to ask good follow-up questions or to connect with what the other person is saying.
The conversation won't flow naturally. So, to be confident and talk to anyone with ease, Train yourself to be present in the moment.
When someone is speaking, give them your full attention. Listen to their words, their tone, and try to understand their message completely.
This makes the other person feel valued and heard, and when they feel heard, they're more likely to engage with you, which naturally boosts your confidence.
You'll find it much easier to respond because you truly understood them. So remember, confidence in conversation isn't just about speaking.
It's deeply connected to your ability to truly listen and be present with the person you're talking to. This makes your conversations much more meaningful and enjoyable for everyone.
To bring it all together, what's the most important thing our listeners can do to really make all these tips stick?
Oh, that's easy, Erica. It all comes down to one word: practice.
Exactly. All these tips are skills. And like any skill, they get better with practice.
Whether you're practicing alone in front of a mirror, or recording yourself, or finding opportunities to chat with a friend, or even just starting small conversations in daily life, every little bit helps.
The key is to actively practice these tips and phrases. Try starting a conversation with a new person. Work on asking follow-up questions. Focus on listening more than talking in your next chat.
And after you practice, take a moment to think, how did that go? What could I improve next time? This helps you see where you can improve and grow.
Also remember that every conversation is an opportunity. It doesn't matter if it's the cashier at the store, a neighbor in the elevator, or a colleague during break. Every interaction can be practice.
And don't expect perfection from the first try. Even the most confident people were once afraid to speak. They just didn't give up and kept practicing.
When you start applying these techniques, you'll notice that conversations become easier. People start remembering you, appreciating your company, and you feel more connected to the world around you.
But most importantly, be patient with yourself. Confidence comes gradually, step by step. Each conversation makes you a little stronger and more confident.
And remember, most people actually want to talk to you. They're not waiting to judge you. They're looking for connection, just like you are.
When you realize this, all the fear of conversations starts to disappear. You understand that people are opportunities for friendship, learning, and growth, not threats.
Another important thing, practice active listening at home. When you watch movies or TV shows, pay attention to how characters talk, how they enter dialogues, how they react to each other.
That's a great idea. You can learn a lot just by observing the natural flow of conversations in media. Notice body language, tone of voice, how people maintain small talk.
And don't forget about the power of questions. When you're genuinely interested in other people, conversation becomes easier. Instead of thinking, what will I say? Think, what can I learn about this person?
This changes the whole focus. Instead of anxiety about yourself, you become an explorer of human nature. And people love talking about themselves when they feel genuine interest.
Also, remember the power of pauses. You don't need to fill every second with words. Sometimes a short pause gives the other person time to think and say something deeper.
Absolutely. Silence in conversation isn't a problem that needs immediate solving. It's a natural part of communication, like breathing between words.
And here's another secret. Use people's names. When someone introduces themselves, remember their name and use it a few times during the conversation. This creates an instant personal connection.
People love the sound of their own name. It makes them feel important and remembered. Just don't overdo it. A few times per conversation is enough.
Now let's talk about more challenging situations. What do you do if a conversation hits a dead end? Or if someone seems uninterested?
Great question. Sometimes, even with the best intentions, a conversation can stall. In those moments, don't panic. You can try changing the topic or just honestly acknowledge the pause.
You can say something like, I wonder what else we could talk about? Or, tell me about something that's interesting you right now. This reboots the conversation.
And if someone seems uninterested, giving short answers, looking at their phone, glancing around, that's okay. Not everyone is ready for conversation at every moment.
Right. You can politely end the interaction by saying, well, I won't keep you. Have a great day. This shows respect for their time and mood.
Remember, conversation rejection isn't personal. People might have their own reasons: bad day, stress, fatigue. It's not about you.
And here's another important point. Learn to read body language. If someone crosses their arms, steps back, or frequently checks their watch, it might mean they want to end the conversation.
Yes, being sensitive to nonverbal signals is part of confident communication. You become a better communicator when you understand not just words, but body language too.
Now let's talk about group conversations. This can be even more challenging than one-on-one conversations. How do you confidently join a group that's already talking?
This can really be intimidating. You approach a group of 3 or 4 people, they're animatedly discussing something, and you think, how do I fit in here?
The first step is to simply approach and stand nearby. Don't try to speak immediately. Listen for a minute or two to understand the topic and tone of the conversation.
When you find an appropriate moment, usually when someone finishes a thought and there's a natural pause, you can say something like, sorry to interrupt, but I heard about.
Or simply, this sounds interesting. Mind if I ask? Most groups happily accept new people, especially if you're polite and show interest.
And if the topic doesn't interest you or you don't understand it, don't try to pretend you're an expert. Better to say, I don't know much about this, but it sounds fascinating. Tell me more.
People like explaining things to those who are genuinely interested. It lets them feel useful and knowledgeable.
Now let's talk about online communication. In our world, much communication happens through messages, video calls, and social media.
That's true. And while the basic principles are the same, there are some specifics. In online communication, it's even more important to be clear and specific, since people can't see your body language.
In video calls, try to look at the camera, not the screen. This creates the impression of eye contact. And make sure your face is well lit.
And in text messages, use emojis moderately to convey tone. But don't overdo it. 1 or 2 emojis can clarify the mood of your message.
And always remember about timing. Don't send long messages late at night and don't expect instant replies. Respecting others' time is part of confident communication.
Now, an important topic: how to deal with conflicts or disagreements in conversation. This is part of life, and a confident person knows how to work with this.
When someone disagrees with you, don't take it as a personal attack. You can say, that's an interesting perspective. I look at it a bit differently.
Or, I understand your point of view. Here's how I see it. The key is to show respect for their opinion, even if you disagree.
And if the conversation becomes too heated, you can say, maybe we should agree that we see this differently, and change the topic.
A confident person doesn't try to win every argument. They know when to compromise for the sake of preserving relationships.
Let's also talk about cultural differences. Different cultures have different communication norms, and it's important to consider this.
Absolutely. What's considered polite in one culture might be rude in another. If you're communicating with people from other countries, be especially attentive to their reactions.
And don't be ashamed to ask if you're not sure. Sorry, is it okay if I ask about shows respect and a desire to understand?
Finally, remember, confidence isn't about being the loudest or smartest person in the room. It's about being authentic, kind, and genuinely interested in others.
When you focus on making others comfortable and heard, your own confidence grows naturally. It's a beautiful paradox of communication.
This brings us to the end of our episode on how to speak to anyone with confidence. We've covered so much today, so we truly hope these tips help you overcome nervousness, step into conversations, and feel more at ease sharing your thoughts and ideas with anyone.
What do you think of today's episode? What's one tip you're excited to try out? In your next conversation,
Tell us in the comments below. For more episodes, make sure you subscribe to Speak with Confidence wherever you listen to podcasts.
thank you so much for letting us be a part of your learning journey. Keep practicing, keep improving, and take care, everyone.
See you in the next episode. Remember, every conversation is a new opportunity to become a better version of yourself.